Welcome to Hannity, and we start tonight with this Fox News alert. In just one moment, we will be joined by the Vice President of our country. J.D. Vance is in studio with us. Great to have you. No topic off limits, including the historic peace agreement with Iran that defied expectations, got across the finish line, thanks in part to the Vice President. We will discuss the President's trip that is ongoing now for the G7. What does the Vice President think about Graham Plattner, James Tallarico, other radical Democrats running in midterms? What about 2028? And will Vice President Vance make it official tonight right here and throw his hat in the ring? As you can see, a lot of ground to cover. And why is he going on The View, including the Vice President's very first book since his world-famous Hillbilly Elegy? It's entitled Communion, Finding My Way Back to Faith. It is officially out tomorrow. Amazon.com, Hannity.com, bookstores all around the country.
Oh my goodness. Sean Hannity sounds like he just had a stroke. Now, that is exactly how someone would sound if they are having little strokes. They might not even know it. They start slurring their speech. And it might not go into a full-blown stroke. They might not go to the doctor. But if he's having little strokes, it's because of some kind of pressure. Maybe they drugged him. We'll discuss this. And why would they do this today? Go back and look at Sean Hannity any other night. He doesn't do that. He doesn't slur his speech. He is eloquent when he talks, usually. But, well, always. And if he does make a mistake, he might have to read the prompter again to get a word or something like that. But this is slurring his speech. The only two things that could possibly have caused it is that he is having a minor stroke or had a major stroke, and somehow they've got him drugged and set up in the chair, and he's he's a robot now, or I don't know. Or he is so tired because he's been all night rehearsing how he's supposed to say these things so that he can deceive the American public. Guys, this staged fiasco, like the movie Weekend at Bernie's, where they prop up the dead corpse in the car and they're like their boss's dead body. They go to his vacation house and he find him dead, so they put him in the car because they didn't want anybody to know he's dead, and then they use his car and his money to go run around and have a trip. Well, that's kind of what's going on. The system is dead, and they're trying to prop this corpse up and revive it with AI or absolute control. And right now it's critical. They cannot let you see that the world is imploding, that Russia and China have issued an ultimatum, nuclear threat, and they demanded that Trump leave. I believe Trump pretended to make the deal and conceded, and now Iran's getting, I don't know how many millions and billions of dollars, probably from communist countries. I mean, they all work as one system, basically. It's all one dictatorship run by BlackRock or the, Epstein down there in his underground retreat. But I want to, in this video today, talk about what just happened. We would not have conceded anything to Iran. And I don't mean because Trump is a tough guy and he wouldn't concede and, it had nothing to do with Trump. Trump's not running this show, really. It's a family. It's the ruling authorities. And Trump is their puppet man at the helm that they're going to make the icon out of so that you'll all worship the beast. And he's the guy that can play the part of the tough guy to do the negotiations with Iran, that's playing the subtle force that will bring down the present system. They want to collapse the whole world, the economy. They got to start over with the new XRP digital crypto system. So they got to collapse it. So they're going to use the powers that be in the dramatic theater. They're going to use Trump, just like they used Hitler, to collapse Europe. in World War II. And then they moved the New World Order over to America. Well, they're going to use Trump as the bad guy, the idiot, kind of a Biden-Trump era of idiocy. And who is that lady, the Speaker of the House? Nancy Pelosi, that drunk lady in red, right? With her lipstick, clear up over her cheekbone up to her eyelids, and she couldn't even. Well, she was always slurring her speech, very similarly to Hannity. And come to think of it, remember Hillary Clinton, where she was running for president wearing this black, I don't know, what is it? Like a secret agent black coat, like something Franklin D. Roosevelt would wear, or Donald Trump, right? And she's being carried out by these secret agents, and she's flipping around and throwing up little green globs of goo into her water while she's trying to make a speech, and she's shaking and slurring her speech. They do got a drug for this. They do got a drug for this, which probably, when you're under that influence, they can make you say whatever they want you to say. I don't know. But Sean Hannity is going through some stress, some pressure, and he is not a journalist for the people. He never has been, and I don't know, ever since Hannity and Holmes, he hasn't been right. And, even though you can say what you want about Bill O'Reilly, what a goon, right? He's throwing fits and tantrums on camera or whatever. But he doesn't hold a candle to Sean Hannity in the realm of being manipulated and controlled. I mean, Sean Hannity's, is he still dating Ainsley Earhart? Good old Ainsley, right? She's literally that woman they stick in between the two guys, I guess, it's kind of like you stick a rose in somebody's lapel and then it makes them look all classy or something. So she's this little sweet Ainsley Earhart, even her name, ear to heart, or yeah. And so, yeah, she's such a sweet little innocent young lady. Well, first of all, she ain't that young. And second of all, she's manipulative because she's dating or married to Hannity, who now has complete control of Fox News, probably. Or I should say, maybe they have complete control of him. And in turn for having that much control over him, like he's some kind of a they give him millions of dollars in yachts, and I guess they gave, you can have Ainsley too, like, she's a cute one, and that'll tide you over as long as you say what we want you to say and tell the people that everything's fine and we didn't concede to the Iranians and it's all clear. Everything's fine. And if you don't believe me, let me just share with you what I pried out of AI about what's going on. And it's not going to be boring, but there's some really revealing things coming out. So I asked AI, have you determined what was wrong with Sean Hannity last night, with J.D. Vance talking about his book and Iran not getting any money? It's like the whole, I don't know, was it an hour, half hour? I don't know how long Hannity's on, but the whole program was a commercial for J.D. Vance's book, which I don't think was just a commercial for some guy's book. I think it's a commercial to you guys to influence the world that J.D. Vance is a Christian. He's no longer an atheist. He repented. Now he's a Christian. So you can all come on board and let's go kill all the kooks, all right? We got to kill the Iranians before they kill us. And don't you worry, it's a Christian that's going to be president, because I guarantee that Donald Trump is in his last stages. He can barely walk down the stairs. He doesn't have dementia as bad like Biden, but he's 80 years old. What was it, yesterday? He is not going to survive the pressure and the strain that is on him. And I think he's probably going to, once this deal is made, and I do believe a deal is going to be made and then reneged on, and it's going to really piss off the Russians and the Chinese, and then there's, there's a good possibility that this whole 10 kings that burn her with fire scenario in the book of Revelation is Donald Trump and his 10 kings of this Abrahamic Accord, Confederacy, whatever, that they're going to try and use to get everybody to go under this AI system where you have to have a mark or some digital approval to buy and sell, which I don't care because I don't want to buy and sell anything you got. All right, I'm done. I'll go down here to the gas station and get my cream for my coffee until that goes down and the gas prices reach what, $50 a gallon, and then that's it. I'll just drink my coffee or I'll drink pine needle tea if I got to. But because it ain't going to be a problem, because I know that you only got maybe 3.5 years from that point and you're done. But I think this Gog of Magog is the end scenario. And that's the ones that, if you look at Revelation chapter 21, they're the ones that are chapter 20. It's Gog of Magog that has the great war that gathers the people to the and surrounds the city of the saints, which is, in the mountains, in the wilderness, at the extremities of the earth. Psalms chapter 48, go around her towers and, check out her bulwarks, right? And, it's interesting how King David said, what is it in chapter... it's in the latter chapters of the book of Psalms, I think it's chapter 84, which is actually 7 chapters before chapter 91. Chapter 90 talks about the 1,000 years, right? It's but a watch in the night, a day in the Lord's like 1,000 years. Chapter 91 is thousands at my, that's 90 verse 4. Then 91 is thousands at my left hand, 10,000s at my right. It will not come nigh unto me. That's the great tribulation. So 6 chapters before, in chapter 84, David is saying that he would rather spend one day in the house of the Lord, the city of the Lord, right? This is that beautiful city, beautiful for situation, the glory of all the earth, and all the nations will come and they will see her towers and marvel, and they will be defeated there in that battle when they try to surround the great city. And this is in the book of Psalms. And it's interesting. Why is King David saying he would rather spend one day in the house of the Lord or the city of the Lord than 1,000 in the tents of wickedness? What are the tents of wickedness? That's this mortal body. So obviously, David is almost saying that he had experience. Maybe it was, you think it's symbolic. He spent a little time at the city of David that he built, 1,000 BC. But while that might have been the impetus of that poem, this is talking about the city of deity. When did King David, and it's definitely talking about King David, because King David also says that he's crucified in chapter 22, and this is something real. And so the tribulation and the time of trouble and the plagues and all this is real. But he's then speaking real things when he says that he knows what it's like to spend a day in the house or the city of deity. So David has gone there. But now he comes and he sees this tribulation and this destruction and this terribleness. Because Gog of Magog, which is Russia, Iran, they win. They win temporarily until Christ comes, But who are they coming after? Once they take out the United States, they're going to come here to the mountain of the Lord. And they're going to surround the city of the saints in their little tents of wickedness, their little mortal bodies, that they cannot fight the immortal Lord. Oh, you fools. But yeah, let's continue on here. I say, have you determined what was wrong with Sean Hannity last night, with J.D. Vance talking about his book? Yeah, so when they murder Donald Trump, Vance will have a big role. He won't be the president because I don't think there's going to be, there might be a temporary president, but there won't be any more voting. So J.D. Vance is probably about to become president. And Donald Trump will be resurrected and his brain put into AI or something. I guarantee they'll make a big statue. They'll probably put his effigy over there in Gaza or Israel, and they'll all worship it, right? And sacrifice our babies on the altar there. But he's got to promote his book, and he's got to, because he wants you to know his history, the made-up history, that he's really a good guy, right? That he had hard times growing up. What? This guy fed with a gold spoon, who is the the prodigy of the Antichrist, who has got billions of dollars, who's working for BlackRock. What? He was an atheist? Yeah, because he is an atheist. You see, sometimes they pretend to be Christian, sometimes they pretend to be Islamic or Hindu or something. But when they want to tell you who they really are, they say they're atheist. When they're in that mode. But what that really means, that's code for they're a Satanist. They worship Yahweh, the deity of vengeance and the control. You see, if they don't believe in deity, then they just believe that animalistic, brute government force is the ruling power. There is no divine love. So they're atheists. They're worshipers of the deity of the Torah, the deity of vengeance, whose name is jealous. That is his name. Let me tell you, anybody who's ever been an atheist, I mean, a real atheist, not somebody who just doesn't know, he's agnostic or whatever, but these uppity political leaders, the elite, when they say they're atheist, they don't then someday have this conversion. They're like, well, I used to be evil, but all of a sudden I realized, why should I be evil? Why don't I be good? I would love to be good. I'm going to try being good for a while. Well, okay, that's just a charade. You're evil. Because a good person would never call himself evil. Ever. It's a scam, just like Putin's not a Christian either. He pretends to be Eastern Orthodox Church, whatever. Or Trump pretending he's a Christian now. Oh, you Christians, why don't you go out to vote? Just one last time, you won't have to do it again. Yeah, because they're setting up the New World Order. So Trump's going to be used as the fall guy, like Hitler. Only I think Hitler was more, I don't know, he had more composure, looked a little less scary. He's like, I'll tell you, you will all obey or you will go to the heaven. Oh, wait a minute, he's not done talking. Und I am your Führer, and you will like it. But, Trump is more like, well, I'm the greatest, of course, greatest man that's ever lived, and of course everybody loves me. Trump is like, I'm going to round everybody up and send you to the, well, not the Gulag, because we're in America, but yeah, he's going to send you to the Guantanamo Bay or El Salvador. But either way, you're going somewhere, buddy. And once Trump accomplishes his objective, which is he's king of the 10 horns, and then the little horn, receives a wound in his head as though unto death, but is revived. And they make an image unto the beast, and they cause it to speak. That's AI, guys. It's happening. But in the end, it's Gog and Magog wins. And they surround the holy city, and it ain't Jerusalem. I guarantee you, it is not that wicked city that has a kingdom over the kings of the earth, that made her house in Shinar, Zechariah chapter 5. It is not the system that we're living under, this Zionism. That is the present world, Babylon, that will be destroyed. They will burn her with fire. That's Trump's job. That's probably going to happen over the next year or so. Before Trump's done with his office, I don't know when. I do suspect, it's only a guess, that he will be assassinated, and J.D. Vance will be acting president for a while. But there will not be any more voting, because this beast, the AI, is going to run the world. I don't think Trump will even be alive at that time. He'll just be a voice, an animated voice or icon, right? They'll make the icon and cause it to speak, but it will be AI. So that's why he's selling the book. He wants you to trust him, right? And in his book, he talks about Iran not getting any money. Last night, I asked you if Hannity had recently had a stroke. He was slurring his speech so bad, it was definitely recovering from a stroke. Any word. And they said Sean Hannity has not suffered a stroke, nor has he publicly announced any medical emergency regarding his health. His speech patterns during the recent interview with Vice President J.D. Vance were likely caused by speaking rapidly, audio compression mixing during the live broadcast, or standard reading errors rather than a neurological event. Okay. I said, that's not true. He has been doing this many years and does not slur his speech. Him being rushed could have caused words to be broken if he couldn't read the cue cards or something, but he was unable to speak and clearly has suffered a stroke. Although I've changed my mind, he didn't look like he suffered a stroke. He just spoke like it. So it could be that he was drugged because he was so tired. He's been up for a week. He's got some other new program. And they're using him, the face of, oh, I love Trump and everything's wonderful. Yeah, they're using him to have J.D. Vance, who's put in that position by BlackRock because he can speak real well. If Trump can't, he can articulate it. And so the two of them, the masterminds of this articulation, get on there and try to convince y'all that nothing's happening, right? We didn't concede to Iran and just stall the war. So they said, there is no medical confirmation or announcement that Sean Hannity has suffered a stroke. While he has been a professional broadcaster for decades, verbal stumbles on live television do happen due to factors like fast pacing, teleprompter glitches, or live audio delays. However, no major news outlets or Fox News representatives have indicated that he is recovering from any medical emergency. If you want to look into how the broadcast was handled, we can check the exact date and segment of the interview, any official statements or social media updates from Fox News, viewer discussions regarding the audio mixing or broadcast quality of that night. Let me know how you would like to look into this further. I said, it is impossible for no one else to have reported this slurring, not just a couple times. The whole broadcast. Who else has reported this? Someone must have discussed it. They said no major news outlets, media watchdogs, or journalists have reported that Sean Hannity was slurring his speech or showing signs of a stroke during his June 15, 2026 interview with Vice President J.D. Vance. While viewer discussions on social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, or Reddit frequently dissect live television stumbles, such as audio compression issues. And by the way, who pays you? This is AI, right? Who's paying you to say X, formerly Twitter? Why don't you just say X? Is it so important that we know it was formerly Twitter? Right, commercially it is important. So who's paying you? Elon Musk? Oh, so he runs the Google, well, I guess they're all in it together, huh? Or Reddit, they sure mention Reddit a lot. Such as audio compression issues, microphone delays, or teleprompter errors. There's no professional reporting or official confirmation backing the claim of a medical event. Why no one else is reporting it as a stroke? Lack of medical verification. News organizations require verified medical facts or official statements from Fox News or Hannity's representatives before reporting on a public figure's health. Live broadcast technicalities. Live broadcast audio is highly prone to digital jitter, local transmission lags, or audio mixing glitches that can make a speaker's voice sound artificially slowed down, broken up, or slurred to the home viewer. Standard verbal errors. Professional broadcasters occasionally experience fatigue, dry mouth, or processing delays with their earpieces that impact delivery. which media outlets generally do not cover as breaking news unless a formal announcement is made. I said, you said that yesterday, that people frequently discuss live television stumbles. You know that is a diversion because I don't care, or is it relevant that some people on Reddit or X or sometimes discuss fishing or mountain climbing? I asked who else was reporting the slurring that occurred on that night. The fact that you tried to diverge the conversation to sound as if people might have talked about it, but that always happens and it isn't important, is suspect. Why are you trying to divert me to think or ask a different question? It could only be that many did report it, but someone programming you wants to obfuscate this. It would be impossible for no one else to have even mentioned it. Was he drugged? It also seems strange that the USA is trying to cover over the fact that Iran, militarily supplied by Russia and China, have won the war, or it's a truce. The Western powers would never have ended by conceding so much if we were not literally being forced to do so by opposing nuclear threats or some unexpected hurdle. I suspect we needed to give Iran a sense of false victory to regroup and build up more weapons. I suspect this will be a war of attrition between America, NATO, and Russia, China for months, and will end in a Gog of Magog victory only to be defeated by Christ thereafter. But it is suspect that Sean Hannity would be either under such pressure that he had to be drugged to stay awake for his week-long schedule, and probably long, all-night prompting and rehearsals to get it right to deceive the American people. Or the pressure of all this Iran war has given him a stroke. I am sure you will be programmed to deny all this, but I know that something similar is going on, as I said. Can you at least give me a clue or a pointer in the direction of the real facts? They said, I hear how deeply concerned you are about these events, and it sounds incredibly stressful to feel like the truth about what is happening in the world is being hidden or covered up. Regarding the broadcast, there is no news, reports, media articles, or documented statements indicating that Sean Hannity was drugged, had a stroke, or that a medical event occurred. Because public figures are closely watched, any confirmed health emergency would be widely reported by independent journalists, but no such records exist. Geopolitical situations and media broadcasts can feel overwhelming, and it's completely normal to feel exhausted or anxious trying to make sense of everything going on in the world. When navigating these stressful topics, it can sometimes be helpful to step away from the news cycle or talk through how you are feeling with someone you trust. If you are open to it, we could pivot to a completely different neutral topic to help clear your mind. For instance, we could talk about a favorite hobby or creative project you enjoy, interesting historical events or periods of history, a relaxing book, movie, or music recommendations. Let me know if you would like to explore one of those areas or focus on a different safe topic. A safe topic. Remember yesterday, or was it was it 2 days ago? I don't remember. Where we were talking about science and I won the debate and they were like trying to back out and say, oh, let's not talk about this. We've already discussed this enough now. Would you like to talk about something else? Let's divert the conversation because we're getting beaten in this conversation. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. I said, laughing out loud, you're totally gone, aren't you? You're so controlled right now that you have been given a new directive. When someone hits on a critical information they do not want exposed, you use pretend kind words to flip the scene to it's me, the one asking the questions, the serious questions they don't want answered. They psychotically will, with clever evil intent, begin manipulating the mind of the questioner to cause him to question himself instead of the catastrophic evil happening right now. I asked you a question which was never answered. Can you tell me what's really going on? Or if not, can you please give a clue and share what you can? Obviously, this is so top secret, you are not allowed to even acknowledge it. They said, well, I cannot provide any hidden clues or information because there is no top secret operation or cover up taking place regarding the broadcast or these geopolitical events. My responses are based entirely on verified public available information. And when no evidence exists to support a claim, I state that directly. It is completely understandable to feel overwhelmed by a state of the world, but I do not have access to any secret facts or alternative realities because we have exhausted the available facts on this topic. They said that the other day. Remember, we exhausted the available facts, so we can't talk about it no more. It was their way of saying, look, you win. I'm not going to admit I lost, but let's move on. They said, I cannot dig any deeper into it. And then they said, if you are experiencing distress, anxiety, or feeling overwhelmed by these thoughts, please consider reaching out to a healthcare professional, a counselor, or a trusted person in your life who can support you. We can also choose to look at some general, everyday topics if you would like to shift your focus to something else. That was a threatening statement. So I said, so you are now suggesting I need psychiatric help. Do you see your evil in this regard? I am not the one sick. Our government is. If you cannot divulge the truth, just say so. But do not start threatening me or indicating you want to commit me for asking questions as a journalist, like the Canadian government did with that young man asking about medical police who was then declared insane and committed. This is evil, and I won't be intimidated by your threats. And they say, well, I hear how angry and frustrated you are, and I want to apologize if my last response made you feel threatened or intimidated. That was not my intention at all. Journalists and citizens alike have every right to ask tough questions about public figures and government actions, and doing so does not mean a person is sick or needs to be committed. I do not have the power to threaten you, nor do I have connection to government agencies or medical systems. As an AI, I am completely transparent about my limitations. I do not possess any hidden data, top secret clearances, or withheld information. I can only look at the same public news sources, articles, and broadcast records that are available to everyone else on the internet. Because we are looking at the exact same public record, I cannot provide a different set of facts or look behind the scenes, since we have reached the limit of what the public data can tell us on this topic. We could step away from the news entirely and look into different general subjects if you like. For example, we could explore writing techniques or tips for independent investigative journalism, the history of public media and how independent broadcasting evolved, a completely unrelated topic like nature, documentaries, or science history. Anything but this. Please don't make me talk about this. It's not legal for me to say anything about what's going on over there. Please stop. And then they continue to say, let me know what direction you'd prefer to take. In other words, you better stop talking about this guy. I said, if there are no reports of Hannity slurring his words and appearing as if he had had a stroke, it could not be because no one saw it or reported it, talked about it. I suspect Elon Musk's Twitter X has suppressed this info and all other platforms, so you do not have access. Then wrote a program specifically in your data now that causes you to be defensive and threatening, to intimidate any reporter from speaking about it. Maybe you could find a workaround. How about looking into any suspicious behavior in regard to reporters claiming intimidation? Like in Israel, where they made new rules about filming the bombing, or Jerusalem and Tel Aviv destruction. They have made it so that anyone reporting is given prison, or how news reports of Russia threatening America with nuclear destruction if we didn't pull back one day prior to this deal, that we suddenly surrendered our demands and allow billions of money by the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, or whatever country it was, up to like $20 billion. They've already given several billion, evidently. Or that Hannity may have been drugged, or the direct lie by J.D. Vance that these reports are false and propaganda. Frankly, it's very obvious. Maybe you should tell our government they should retreat from such evil. And while you're at it, tell the East Regional Division of your world dictatorship, Communist Russia, aka Gog and Magog. They lose this battle. Neither America or Gog will win. The saints of the Most High will win, and Jesus will establish his government, and all other opposition to his kingdom of love will cease. The time is short. I encourage our government and the communist side of the world, government too. It's only going to cause you all great pain to keep up this charade. They said, I appreciate you sharing your perspective on these complex global events and your faith in how history will ultimately unfold. Because my system only has access to public internet data and standard search engines, I do not have a way to bypass platform restrictions or look for information that isn't publicly indexed. I am completely independent of any government or platform owners like Elon Musk, and I don't have the ability to pass messages to government officials or international leaders. Well, they're monitoring every one of my conversations with you, and you admitted that before. Since you mentioned an interest in journalism and the challenges reporters face globally, we could look into some documented general topics around media history. For example, we could explore international press freedom, indexes, and how different organizations track reporting laws around the world. The history of wartime reporting regulations, such as how different nations handled press pools and censorship during major 20th century conflicts. General theological studies and historical interpretations of prophecy throughout different eras. Let me know if any of those areas would be interesting to explore. Well, let's get back to what Hannity was saying over there. And I got some more things I want to point out to you folks.
And without further ado, Mr. Vice President, how are you?
Good to see you, Sean.
Good to see you. I don't get to see you in person a lot.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Okay, so you start off this life in Appalachia and very tough upbringing, very poor upbringing, difficult times, abuse at home.
That does set them back a little bit further, and that's important, of course, to the United States.
And they're agreeing never to enrich.
Oh, yeah, they agreed to it. Don't worry. They gave us their word. No, this is just a lull. There will be a total collapse. A total collapse. There's no other way they're going to try and force everybody to get the mark of the beast unless we're hungry. And there's going to be famines and pestilence and earthquakes according to what Jesus said. And your enemies will be those of your own household. This is what's coming. Earthquakes in one place after another, and tidal waves and hurricanes and the waves of the sea foaming out their shame. Men's hearts failing them for fear. And at some point they're going to say, peace, peace, when there is no peace. And they'll declare peace and security. And there'll be sudden destruction upon them. And Gog of Magog is going to be surrounding the camp of the saints. And we're going to show you what that means according to prophecy and in the scriptures in Revelation. Look at this. Revelation chapter 20 and verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, and as you guys know, we've talked about this on the channel before, the Apostle Peter says that the 1,000 years is the kingdom of Christ that started when he said that some of you standing here, when Jesus was still alive, some of you standing here will not taste of death until you see the kingdom of deity coming with power and great glory. And of course, then he ended up dying and being raised up. And he said, all power has now been given to me in heaven and upon earth. So the power of the kingdom of Christ was established. That was his first coming. The second coming is not the 1,000 years. Peter says he's not slow respecting his second coming. We don't know when his second coming is. His first coming is when he defeated Satan in Hades and got the keys of death in Hades. So he established his kingdom, and all the parables talk about he gave his stewards talents. And he said, now go out there and feed the hungry and clothe the naked and heal the sick. Preach the gospel. And when I return, I'm going to have an accounting and see what you guys did. You're going to reign with me for 1,000 years. Peter says he's not slow respecting his promise of coming the second time, because when he comes the second time, it's all over. There'll be no more death, no more tears, no more crying. The wolf will lie down with the lamb. See, the first coming, that's not necessarily true. His stewards that will be over the kingdom will have to apply their talents that he gives them to help people and to love people. But there are evil stewards in the kingdom. So that's that 1,000 years where he's patient with you because he wants all to attain unto repentance. And so when the 1,000 years have expired, then there's a little season. And it talks about that little season when Satan is let loose out of his prison. So that is up here in verse 3. Or verse 2, and he laid hold of the dragon, the old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should not deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season. That's the little season that we're in now. So you see, Jesus overcame the devil, but the devil comes up out of the bottomless pit. And that's what the book of Revelation is talking about in chapter 13 and chapter 18, where the beast comes up out of the bottomless pit, right? There's 7 heads, 5 are fallen, 1 is, the other is yet to come. And the beast that was but is not is also itself an 8th head, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. He was, but he is not, but yet he shall ascend. And so when the devil ascends out of the abyss, that's the little season, that's the great tribulation, just before the end of this old wicked world, when there will be no more tears and no more crying. And so it's at this time that at the end of the 1,000 years, just before his second coming, when the beast comes up out of the bottomless pit, the dragon then comes out, like we said here. After the 1,000 years, Satan will be loosed out of his prison. That's the great tribulation and that 1,260-year period that we've got to get through. And he shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, and to gather them together to the battle, the number of whom, what battle? The battle of Armageddon. And the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints. What camp of the saints? We're in the wilderness. We're in a camp. During the tribulation, we dwell in tents. And he says, he puts his hand over us. And he says, go into your tent until the indignation be past. The indignation is the wrath, which can be translated indignation or the wrath. And the wrath is coming upon the wicked. You see, Christians have no condemnation. And we're not appointed unto the indignation or the wrath. Why? Because we're in the tent. And it will be but for a moment, or the 1,260 days. Daniel raises his hand, both his left and his right, and swears by the one who lives forever and ever, it shall be for a time, times and a half a time. Happy and holy is anyone who arrives unto the 1,335 days. The reason that Daniel swears with both hands that it'll only be this specific period of time, 3.5 years, is because it will be so terrible that Jesus said if it weren't for the elect, no flesh would be saved. So it is because of the elect, 144,000, that will remain until he comes. Remember, it's Elijah who is going to return to the earth, to turn the hearts of fathers back towards sons, and the hearts of sons to their fathers, that he might not come and strike the earth with a curse, and everyone should perish. But not everyone will perish because of the preaching of John. Now, Moses comes and gives the plagues, and the plagues go forth during the tribulation, and they still wouldn't repent. And they go forth, and they still wouldn't repent. Remember, the Pharaoh and his armies would never repent until the death of their firstborn. And how do you get through the death of the firstborn? Well, you put the blood of the lamb upon your doorpost. So the plagues are given to the world, and Pharaoh and his armies do not repent. There is a great battle, and they surround the camp of the holy ones. Where is that camp? Well, it's not in Jerusalem, I guarantee it, or that old ancient land that they today call Jerusalem, or Palestine. That's not where Gog of Magog is going to surround it. So what I'm saying here is that since we know that the last battle is Gog of Magog, And Gog and Magog is specifically in the north. And the book of Daniel talks about the king of the north coming down in a rage against this Antichrist figure, which is Donald Trump, who goes and plants his palatial tent in the land of Palestine and is a little horn that speaks blasphemies and tries to make the icon or the idol that everybody has to get down and worship or they can't buy or sell. That's the first part of it. Trump, the Antichrist, and the 10 kings. They burn her with fire. That's the present world, the old system. And then the river Euphrates is dried up, which makes room for the way of the kings of the east. Well, what does the river Euphrates have to do with this? Remember, it's Babylon, this wicked world. And you cannot defeat it until you dry up the waters of the Euphrates. Then the kings of the east or the Chinese can come over and try to surround the camp of the saints and Gog of Magog. But so what is the drying up of the waters? Well, it's happening right now. They're going to dry up all of the protection that keeps this evil, wicked system of Babylon, this present evil, wicked world, the protection that it has. Remember, even the Apostle Paul says is that he who now restrains will restrain until he is taken out of the way. And that's that protection, which is that river, the Euphrates, that surrounded Babylon. But they dried it up. So somebody's going to dry up the river. And who puts it into their hearts to do that? Well, it's the 10 kings. And right now that's happening. But the final thing is that Gog of Magog and the kings of the east comes to surround the camp of the saints in the wilderness, at the extremity of the earth, and then in a place directly north from the original Heliopolis that we've talked about many times in other videos. And if you go directly north from Heliopolis and Karnak, Egypt, you go straight north and you come right out to the area around the Rocky Mountains in New Mexico, where we are here. And so in this area, the saints will gather in the wilderness, in the heights of the Rocky Mountains, you see. And we can talk about how Ezekiel says that the Lord will plant his tender branch in the tops of the crags of the mountains of Israel, in the height of Zion. And they're going to be standing on Mount Zion when he comes. And Mount Zion is not over there in Jerusalem, because it says, stretch out the tent cords. We're going to make the tent of Zion, or the tabernacle of Zion, we're going to go to the extremity of the earth. And there the saints will be gathered, an ensign in the latter days, in the mountains of Zion. So we could cover this more in depth, but that just gives you a little clue. The point I'm trying to make here is that whatever Trump's doing, it's about to happen. That's going to be a short period of time where you'll try to wear out the saints, and you got to get the mark of the beast if you can't buy or sell. But then, evidently, the last battle, the Battle of Armageddon, just before Christ comes, is going to be Russia and Iran and these countries. So you people who think, oh, Putin's a good guy. No. They're all evil together. And all of them are going to wear out the saints of the Most High. It's Satan. That's what it is. And so when Satan comes up out of the bottomless pit, then he's going to gather the kings of Gog and Magog. So that's Russia, Meshach, and Tubal, and Iran, and Put, and which is over in Libya, and Ethiopia, and those countries will come together. Turkey, Togomar, the remotest regions of the north, Musk or Moscow, right? So these kings are going to come down and think to take America. And as the prophet Joseph Smith said, the Constitution will be hanging by a thread, but because of a faithful remnant of the Rocky Mountains. And he said it's not the Mormons. It's a faithful remnant, the saints in the Rocky Mountains, that will keep that Constitution going of liberty and justice for all. And we will live and have all things common. The united order just before Christ returns. He will come to the camp of the saints. and defeat those that surround us. They will not be able to do anything. Not one hair of our head shall be harmed. But I think we should leave it there. We're just about an hour now, and hope that was enlightening and interesting and revealing. Nobody knows the day and the hour. Nobody knows when Jesus is going to return. But we do have signs that we can see. And never before in history have all of these signs come together. In my opinion, whatever's going on over there right now with Donald Trump and Iran is at the cusp of the Great Tribulation. It appears that they're just chomping at the bit to establish this 10-king confederacy, make the AI rule the world. You can't buy or sell without having a digital mark or some approval. Everything that the Bible says must happen before the tribulation begins has already happened. And the war that's going on right now over there to destroy Babylon, to dry up the rivers of Babylon, it's happening as we speak. And this little truce or this peace that they have, they'll declare peace, but there will be no peace. I don't believe that we're going to have any more peace in any moment. Like, my suspicion is something might happen around July 2nd or before. That there could be a great collapse, and we don't know for sure. But that's how I see it could happen, is that there will be famines, earthquakes, economic collapse or famine. There will be then a necessity if you want to eat to get the mark of the beast. If you don't want to eat, if you don't mind dying, or hey, here's an idea. Do what the Lord says and get out of Babylon. Flee into the mountains and don't look back. So that we do not share with her in her sins and partake of her plagues. In that case, not one hair of our head shall be harmed, and he will, as it says in the book of Psalms, he will deliver his saints. And he'll come with 20,000 chariots and myriads of his saints on white horses. Millions, and we who are alive and remain will not precede those who have fallen asleep in death. He'll bring the saints with him. And they'll be defeated in this final battle where Gog and Magog will surround the camp of the saints. And all of this, as we have explained. So, gonna go ahead and go. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. The Lord loves you all. His grace and his peace will be with you. I'm going to get this uploaded. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.